Welcome to part 2 of the test position on skewer attack. Let us start the first one, that is number 7. It's from the game between Szabo and UA. And before I provide the solutions, I guess that you are comfortable in solving this and that your answers which I am going to show the solutions are matching with what you have already done. So let us start with number 7. It is white to play, and how does he bring about a skewer attack? Well, he does this with an exchange sacrifice. Rook captures c6. Suddenly we find that now there is a difference in material imbalance. White has gone up a piece, so he is forced to capture it, and now white brings about a skewer attack with bishop a4 check. Once the king moves out of check to d6, white is able to win. The rook of black goes a piece up and wins the game. Number 8. And now here it's a bit of skewer attack in a different style. We see that black king and rook are on the same line. So rook g8 is basically an attack, a skewer attack. But well, the king here can come and defend the rook by moving to e7. So how can white conclude this attack successfully? He starts with rook g8 check, forces king to e7, and now the rook on g1 joins his rook 1 to g7 check. This forces king of the defense. King has no move. Here he has to move to, means bring his rook back to defense. If he moves his king to say e6, the rook on d8 is lost. So here he has no option but to play his rook back to f7, and now here white successfully culminates this into one game by exchanging rook captures f7, after king into f7, rook into d8, and he goes a rook up. Moving on to number 9, which is like a very frequently occurring position in endgame, basically in rook and pawn endgame. And like I was lucky to reach this position in our Bombay selection trial way back in 1992. Of course, this game is a draw if the black king is either on g7 or h7. These are the safe square. Then it's a draw. White cannot do anything. He cannot leave his post on a8, as this will lead to capture of the pawn on a7. Black rook is in very good position. And like if white king tries to approach, black rook can just stay on the line, and whenever like king goes to b6, he can go on checking from behind and there will be no further progress. But here we see black king on f7, which is basically a losing position. So here white had no hesitation in playing rook h8 with the straight away threat of a8 equals queen. So this forces rook into a8, and now we see both the pieces on the same line. Rook to h7 check, and after king gets out of check, by moving to g6, the rook on a7 is captured, leading to an elementary win for white. This position is really interesting and can say it's one of the best. So it's a position from Bern Tarjan, Cleveland, with white to play. And now here white has an advantage. In terms of material, he is of course having an extra pawn, but the position of his king is insecure with white rook on the 7th rank on f7. And here now white brings about a skewer attack with queen h3. Beautiful idea. He is threatening mate on h7, as well an attack on the unprotected rook on e6. Now in this position, black has no alternative. He needs to capture the rook on f7. So now white culminates this attack first with queen h7 check, which forces the king to h8 on the 8th rank, and now comes queen h8 check. We see a skewer attack. The unprotected queen will be captured on the next move after king gets out of check. Wonderful combination. Moving on. This is a bit difficult because here black king appears to be like has a good support of the clusters of pawn around it. This position is from the game between Espik Bruggerman played at the then East Germany. The target is basically the rook on c7, but how to bring about, how to open up the line for the rook on g4 to come to g7. We see here this rook on d1 having a good control. So the idea came about with bishop g5 check. Very good move. Now this move, what are the options for black? He has limited options. He needs to, for example, he cannot go to say for example here e8, as it will lead to mate in 1 with rook d8. So there is only one reply in this position. He needs to move his pawn to f6, block the check. And now it appears that everything is okay for black, but then white continues with the idea bishop into f6, and now also he has reinforced his attack on the g7 square. So this forces bishop into g into f6, and now comes rook g7 check. We see 3 pieces on the same line. After king e8, rook captures c7 with a further threat. Not only is white now exchange up, he has been able to recover back his lost piece, but now is threatening rook c8 check, as well the knight on c4. So black had nothing to counter and resigned in this position. The last one in part 2 of this section, it's from the game between Bena and Zarco played at Romania way back in 1971. And what do we see in this position? That black has created a lot of threats. His queen and bishop on g3 are threatening. It will start with queen into g2, and white king will be trouble with rook to join in later. So white needs to act very quickly in this position. How to bring about an attack? Well, he started with a fantastic sacrifice. Rook captures h6. Now this forces king into h6. Let us examine the choices. If he goes to, say for example, in this position, king to g5. Well, in that case, here like white can conclude with successfully with queen into g6, king to f4, and rook to h4. It's over. So for rook into h6, there is only one possibility of capturing that rook, king into h6. And now comes check, queen f8 check. And again, let us now examine the options before black. He can move his king to h7, to h5, and to g5. Let us examine, for example, h7, which is not good, as this allows the rook on d1 to invade, and the game is over. It is rook d7 check, and after rook e7, it is mate. So king cannot really afford to go to h7, and he has now option of, let us also examine option of moving to g5. Well, in that case, now white continues the check to queen d5, and let us again examine the options. He has king to f4, and king to h5. Let us first examine king to f4. Well, in that case, a surprising mate is there with queen d2. So it is out of question for black to move to f4. So it decides to move his king to h5. And now comes idea of one more sacrifice. Brilliant, rook h1 check. It means that now he has no option. For example, he is not in a position to bring back his bishop to h4 as queen is already attacking the square here. So it is not possible for black to play bishop h4. He has to play queen into h1, and now we see both the king and queen on the same line. So skewer attack, the concluding move is easy to judge. It is queen h8 check, and after king gets out of check by moving to g5, it leads to capture of the queen, and now we have an easy position for white. His queen with a cluster of pawn and outside passer on a file will be more than enough for black's rook and bishop, and therefore black resigned in this position. I hope you have been able to understand the solutions I have provided, the variations I have provided in each of these 6 positions. If at all you are not able to understand any of this, please go through the video again, and you will all your difficulties will be answered. I will be back with part 3 of the skewer attack in the next video. Till then, bye for now.